जय माता दी। आप सभी को हिंदू नववर्ष और चैत्र नवरात्रि की ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं। आइए माँ सिद्धिदात्री माँ शारदे की चरण वंदना करें और ज्ञान अर्जन के अपने लक्ष्य को पाने की माता रानी से कामना करें। लेट्स गो अहेड। So welcome again in Java City. An agenda for today's video tutorial is to understand in a Java program how the synchronized method may have a thread interference and how we can avoid thread interference if even though the methods are synchronized. So let me have a take an example of producer consumer example. So producer is nothing but a producing a same type of products, number of products, and consumer is consuming the ready products. So two threads are here. In example we are going to take to understand the concept. Two threads are there and the one thread is producer and it is producing the product, and as soon as it's produced the product, the consumer starts its consumption, and once the consumption have been completed, again the producer will produce the product and the cycle goes on. But in case suppose the producer produces a number of products of same type and both the threads have started their execution, so there is no any mechanism that thread 1 and thread 2 will get acknowledged. Then when the thread 1 has completed its works and when it will how much time it will wait till the thread 2 will start its work and till the work is getting completed, since they both require a shared object. So for the purpose of real world analogy, on the condition it will happen like if suppose a single lane bridge which is to be crossed by two vehicles which are coming from the opposite direction. So suppose they don't know when the vehicle is getting started from both ends. On that case, if they start their vehicle at the same time, on that case they both come at the middle of the bridge, and what will happen? There will be a deadlock condition. No vehicle will move further in any direction. So here also in a program, if the synchronized methods are employed in both the threads also, but suppose thread 1 and thread 2 both will require a same object at the same time, because both have completed their one step, and in a starting of their two step they both are demanding the object of same type. So on that case no any thread will acquire, because the thread 2 has started its work, and in meantime thread 1 doesn't know that thread 2 has started its work, so it is again quarreling for to acquire the lock of an object. So on that case what will happen? It will, the program will halt, the thread will halt, and its execution will halt, and it is simply undesirable situation. So how we'll overcome this situation, we are going to understand in this tutorial. So this is a quite important concept in multi-threading in a Java program. So let's go ahead and try to understand through the our scratch code. So stay tuned with Java City and let's go ahead. To understand how the synchronized methods may get interference and when the number of threads are calling together are synchronized methods. So the object is common here, the methods are synchronized, but the object is common, which is a scarce resource which both the threads are required at a time. And since the synchronized method only declares that one method will be used for a specified time, and on that case the next or thread will be on wait state. So for demonstration purpose, how two threads are quarreling or struggling for a single resource, to demonstrate this wonderful concept, we have taken a producer consumer example. So as the name suggests, producer produces something and consumer consumes something. So here is a certain relation between these two. Producer and consumer are working in a synchronized manner, and they are just producing one thing, and once producer has produced something and the consumer immediately tries on wait to consume the produced material, and as soon as it completes the consumption, the producer is simply watching the consumption and it immediately restarts production. So it's a cyclic process, and in this there are two threads are working together, and one is enabling producer, one is enabling consumer, and both are in wait state of completion of each other's task. So to demonstrate here, first we will create a class which have a two synchronized methods. One is read and one is write. For pretending producer and consumer example, we have simply creating a class of message. So let's we create a class of message. So class, and this class message have a two producer and consumer type methods. One is read and one is write. So write method will simply write messages, and read method will simply read the messages, and it is we are pretending to read to understand how a producer consumer, and there will be two threads, and one will enable writing method, one will call writing method, one will call reading method, and they simply do in a synchronization. Like writing method will simply write the message and you will watch the read message like producer, and it will do, and producer will simply produce the message as soon as the consumption will be, or it will be read by reader. So let me make a class. So class message, and this so it should have a message, or the message should be of type string. So let me have a field public string message, and we have a flag of type boolean. This will show the container is empty or not. So public boolean empty, and let me initialize with true. Okay, so we have two methods. Let me have a method. So let me create a no parameter constructor. So message, either typo error, always remember that the class should always be taken or start with capital letter. So, and this is an empty constructor. So whenever we create an object of type message, lots of typo, there is a certain shift key issue in my laptop. Okay, now let me create a two methods. So this is a synchronized read method, and this read method will return a string message which it had just read. So it will simply return, whenever we call the read method, it will simply return a message which it had just read. And in this method we are simply creating a loop pretending that it is reading, and in this loop we will make a thread little it will go, and whenever it will call we will pretend that this work is on. So we will simply make this thread sleep, and we will make the condition, then all the time this loop will go on. Okay, so let it make a while, and let we make already empty is true, so we are making an empty loop, and at this one we will simply forcing this to make always true, and this will return what? String. Okay, so string is nothing but a message. Okay, and this message with this field, this message is simply coming from the field, and the write message will simply update this field. So simply this let us see and make the write method. So public synchronized void write method will not return anything, so we don't need to return anything. And here also we are making a loop, and that loop will do, it will do an empty loop, and the condition will always remain true for this one. So at the last we are simply doing what? Converting this empty flag to false. Okay, and here we are not doing anything. So these two methods we have just created, and in this write method this will write what? A method which a string message which it has been provided. So string, and let me take a message, and this method will simply update the field by the parameter provided. So this is okay. So these two methods have been done. So let me create a two runnable class, and from that runnable class or task we will create a thread. So let me create a class, sorry, this should be come over here. Okay, so let me create a reader, and reader is already a class, so this may create a problem, so we are calling it reader1, and this will implements runnable. Okay, interface. So this is a class, and why it is prompting, we have to simply prompting to create override method. So public void run. Okay, so we have created a run method. Now the problem is over, and first let me create a object of this. What it will do, it is a simply thread, and what it will do, it will simply call either a read method or a run method. So reader will simply do what? It will read. It will simply trigger a thread which will call a read method, and a writer will simply, writer is nothing but a producer, and will simply trigger a thread which simply call a write method. So these are producer and consumer, and they are producing what? Messages, and we are pretending that this is a consumer of messages and this is a producer of messages. So we have just created a message object, and let me create a constructor, and that constructor reader1. Okay, and here we have to pass the message object. Okay, message, and this may be message. So we have to just initialize this object, so by the parameter provided. Okay, so this is a reader task, and which is extending runnable. So it is a simply class, anonymous class, RSA, simply a class which is implementing runnable interface. So we are just creating object task type objects, and this will do this run method. What it will do, it is a simply reader type of task, so it will simply try to read the message. So for that we have to first create a for loop. Okay, so let me create a for loop, and here in this for loop, what we will do, we are taking, so let me take a string latest message starting with this one. Okay, and how it will be initialized, this will be initialized with the object message dot read. Okay, so it will run up to what, till the latest message dot equals EUF message, or it may be written as finished. Okay, so this will do up to this, and now what it will do, once this condition is getting satisfied, so latest message to message dot read. Okay, so this is a for loop, and in this for loop, what we have to do, we have to create, and as soon as this will, here we have to so in this run method, we have to provide a very small amount of delay to pretend that message getting read. So for doing so, let me create a object of random class. Okay, so random is equal to new random. This will create, and here let me create try catch block, in which here we have to first create a random delay. So thread dot sleep, simply this will pretend that, and what it will, we have to creating a random delay. So random dot next int, and that will be up to millis, and that will be bounded up to 2000 random, and this will provide us simply. Okay, so here we have to catch block, and this will interrupt the execution. So here there should be an interrupted exception, and that should be handled, and here we have to give the print that is interrupted. Okay, so this is a simple method. So in this method, we are simply, we have created a run method, and here in this run method we have created a for loop, and this for loop will do what, it will simply start with the latest message, and that message will be returned or provided by the read method, and it will extend or go up to the latest message dot equals finished, or EOF, any kind of EOF tagline you can use here, end of field, end of line, or end of text, whatever. So it is finished, it has finished the reading work, and this will do whatever, if the condition is getting true. So what it will do, it will simply provide a go ahead with the message dot read, and it will return a message. Okay, and here to pretending that the message reading is going on, we are simply making a thread sleep with the a random number which is extending up to 2000, and whatever the number it will come, it will taken as the number of milliseconds, and for that time this thread will get sleep. And since it is try catch block, so it is simply interrupting the thread of execution, and once it will do it, it will simply return a latest message. So same way, let me try to create another class, and that is writer class. Okay, so this is writer 1, and this will also do what? This will also implement a runnable, so create a task. Okay, and here also we have to create a public method or run method. You can either override the run method or you can directly create method. Okay, so here now there should be a object type message. So because we will, and this should be, there should be a constructor of this class. So public writer, where it is, it is not showing. Okay, this writer. Okay, so this, and here we have to pass object of message, and that will be message. So let me initialize this field by passing this parameter provided by this. Okay, so this is a constructor and this is a run method. In this run method, what we have to do, we have to create first messages. So for doing so, let me create a string array, and that may be called as messages. Okay, and let me initialize this array with the steps to make yourself fit. Okay, see, this is a random container array, and this is an array of statements, this array of lines. And what lines we are choosing here, we are choosing steps to make your fit. So for a 24-hour routine, so let me first make early to rise. Okay, first you have to wake up early. After that, what you have to take, okay, do some exercise. Okay, now take healthy breakfast. Then you have to take lunch. Okay, no problem. Take energy full lunch. Okay, and what you do after taking lunch? Drink sufficient water, and at last again you have to go to sleep early. Okay, or you may say timely, and take sound sleep. Okay, so these are the few steps, and with these lines we have created, and we have created an array of strings. Now what we have to do, we have to create a for loop, and in for loop we have to simply write. Let me create for loop. Number of times we have created for loop in our tutorials. So here for loop we have to first initialize the variable, and here it is int, and that is taken as a started with 0. And what is the condition? It will go till the messages dot length. It will simply, and what will we do, it will simply increment by 1. Okay, and here what it will do, it will simply call the message, and the message read it will simply call the write method, and that write method will pass or simply take one line, one string message of this one, and simply it will write method will be do what, it will simply update the field or simply transfer this message. Okay, so here we have to message object, take the message object dot, and this is write, and what it will write, it will simply messages I. Okay, and now what we have to do, we have to create a try catch block. So let me create a try catch block. Here also we have to take interrupted exception, because the thread is going to sleep. So writer thread is sleeping. Okay, so this is a clone, and here we have to thread. First we have to create a random object. Okay, so let me create a random object here, as we have created there, for giving a random delay of milliseconds, some amount of time. So this random object we have created, and now thread dot sleep, and here we have to give random dot next int, and of course up to 2000. You can take anything 2000. So this will create a random dot next int. This will bounded by 2000. It means it will create a random number up to 2000, and this will be simply converted into long millis. Okay, so this will be taken as a millisecond. So this is a random delay. Okay, and all things suppose have been over, and this is a synchronized methods. So let me try to create two threads in this main method. Okay, so let me first create object of message class. So message is equal to new, so message, and this is the object of message class. So now let me create thread. We have to create two threads, one for reader class, reader task, and one another for writer task, and these two threads will work and start, and they will try to execute their work simultaneously, and they are taking a message common object, and we have already a synchronized method. So let me create a new reader one. This is a task, and this will have a object of type message. So let me enclose in a parenthesis to call the thread method start, and again suppose new thread, and here new task of typewriter 1, for which we have given a class name writer1, and here also we have to pass message object, and let me enclose this in a parenthesis to call thread start method. So we have created a two threads, and these two threads have or taking a common message object, and they are started simultaneously. Once we will read, they will try to execute their one work, and they will call their parented run method, and in the run method we are trying to execute for loop, and this for loop there is a synchronized method read and write, and this is pretending producer and consumer. So producer will simply produce messages, and that messages have been taken by a array of messages. One by one they will go ahead, and during in between, for pretending to read and write activity, we have created a sleep method for which a very small amount of sleep it will take, and this will pretend that the something is reading, something is writing. And during this, once the for loop is checking the condition and initialization, during this it will simply release the thread, and that thread with that the thread or simply release the lock, and it will be acquired by another one, and it will try to restart the work. So simply they will go to and fro, and on that case there will be a condition of deadlock. So let me go ahead and try to run this and see what is happening. So let me run it. So it is simply not even able to start. So let me close it, and let me try to run it again. And even one or two try, they will to try to fetch the lock of message object and start their execution. So let me try to run it again and try to see what is happening. Is there anything progress is happening or not? No, even not. They are not going to acquire a lock. Let me run it again. Let me do some exercise. It is not able to start even. So let me try to create this thread first, so that the main thread will execute this one first. So let me try to run it again and see whether the program executes or not. Yes, you can see by doing so it is even ready started early to rise, and after that the condition of deadlock has been taken over, and the situation is now halt state. Even the execution is on, but they are simply trying or clicking or trying to quarreling for acquire the object of message type, but they are not able to get. So the process is on halt state, and the program execution is on halt state. So let me first stop this and try to understand how we can avoid. So in this situation, there is the method wait and notify all comes into picture, and for what we have to do, we have to synchronize these two, and we have to acknowledge both the threads that I am working and you have to wait for a certain time. So in this read and write, this empty loop will do something, and in this empty loop, once it will go, we have to say, so let me enclose in a try catch block a wait method. So this is a wait method, and this should be enclosed with a catch block, and since wait method will simply ask the another thread, ask the thread to wait for a while until that the thread is interrupted. So it should be, it should will throw interrupted exception, and it should be handled. So here this is a simple reader. So reader thread is interrupted. Okay, and the same thing, and this should be, once it is it will the condition of wait is over, it should notify as soon as it will woke up, and it will notify or send a notification to the another thread that I am on execution and please wait for a while. Okay, so it will, there should be a notify method. So let me try to copy this one in a this another synchronize method, this one, and here also there should be a notify all method. So there are two types of method, notify all and notify, and both these methods are doing same activity, same work, but there's a little difference. Notify all will simply send notification to all, and whereas notify will send notification to only a single one, even though a number of threads are waiting for a same resource or same lock. So as soon as this once one will notify, it will simply start the execution, but rest of the threads will try will keep on querying, keep on fetching, and keep on trying. So the situation will be eventually same, so there will be no benefit. So here we have just modified our code by the calling of wait and notify all methods in both the synchronized methods. So here the some acknowledgement of some synchronization between these two threads will go on, and one will wait, one will execute, and it will notify another. So wait notify, the method will go on and it will work in a synchronized manner. So let me try to run it and try to see what is happening again. So here the situation should return, and it should work in a very proper way, I think. So let me try to run. So you can see here the things are going in a synchronized method, and let me again run it. Early to rise, do some exercise, take healthy breakfast, take energyful lunch, drink sufficient water, and go to sleep timely and take sound sleep. So the things are going in a very synchronized manner, and one by one wait and call, this thing is happening. So this is the way to avoid deadlock condition in a simple this type of example. So I think the brief idea about the thread deadlock situation, how to get rid of this situation by calling wait and notify all method, is somehow yeah, you might have able to understand the situation, although you need to practice it and to try to understand it, how the situation is getting over. And in the next, although the video is quite long, so we have to stop here, and further topics will be covered in the next lecture. Till then you need to wait and practice well. So stay tuned with Java City and keep on reading and keep on practicing, and wait for next tutorial. Till then, bye.